Hello my friends, Paul here in the RoJoBe Music Workshop, and welcome to part 4 of the acoustic guitar bridge replacement project. Actually this should be part 5. I had already recorded part 4, but because of the technical issues I'm having with my cameras and my SD cards, the footage has gone. So in episode 3, part 3, you'd seen me prepare the bridge and glue it onto the body, get it all clamped on, and said then that I was going to leave it 24 hours before taking the clamps off. Well, I did, probably more like 22 hours, but as close as. So part 4 that I did record was removing the clamps and just checking that the bridge had properly stuck. So let me just show you that now. So the bridge is on there. It's all stuck all the way around. It's now been a couple of days actually since I've taken the clamps off. And it's all stuck on there nicely all the way around. There's no gaps. There's no glue residue to clean up because I did a good job while I was clamping it all up, and it all seems to be perfectly aligned, perfectly set and good to go. So the other thing that I spoke about in the part 4 that I had recorded was the saddle. So let me just get the camera turned around so that you can see what I'm talking about. Just bear with me a sec. Oh dear. Okay. So I'll just zoom in a little bit. How's that? That's good. Okay. So let's get some more light on there. So that's the bridge set nicely on the body. Let me just move this light a bit. Good as I'm going to get. Okay, so that's the new bridge on. Now, with the saddle, this is the original saddle from the guitar. Now it's not bone, it is a plastic one, but it's a higher quality plastic than most of the cheap ones you buy. So it does flex a little bit, but not very much. So it's a good, solid, stiff, strong plastic. I'm not sure exactly what it's called, but it's a good quality one. So, as I said, this is the original saddle, but this is a new bridge. So, upon trying to put the saddle into the slot, it's a little bit too long that way and it won't fit in the slot. Well, that's not a problem. I mean, I could just shave off the ends a little bit, or even off the ends of the slot, but that's a bit more difficult to do accurately. So I could just take a little bit off the ends of the saddle and get it in there, no problem. But just putting sort of one end into the slot, it's loose, it's not a tight fit, and that's not going to do. So do it the other way as well. It wobbles about. That's absolutely no good at all. So it's not thick enough for the slot in this new bridge. So upon rummaging through all of my spare parts and bits and pieces, I came across a whole bunch of saddles. Most of them are the soft rubbish plastic ones, but I did find this one. It's a used one. As you can see, there's some staining on the top, and this also, like the original, is a good quality hard plastic, so at least as good quality as the original, possibly better. Now I did say that the customer wants the action lowered on this guitar, and as you can see with this original saddle, it's quite high. Now if I compare that to this other one that I found, you can't really see the difference too much. Let me just put them together like that. So the original one on the top and the one that I found on the bottom, which is a little bit lower. I'm not going to bother measuring it. It's probably maybe a couple of mil lower. So that's already helping with the work to lower the action on this guitar. And if I put that in the slot, it fits. Okay, so the length that way is perfect. And if I push it down into the slot, that does not move at all. There is a tiny little bit of play, but nowhere near as much as the original. So that's a decent tight fit. So, you know, once that's under tension, that's not going to move about. We're not going to have problems with intonation. And it's already fairly low, which is good. So, you know, that's going to obviously reduce the amount of work I need to do to lower the action on this guitar. So, let me start by just putting a couple of strings in. So I'm going to put the two E strings in, the low E and the high E. I just grab my bridge pins. Okay, so low E. Yeah, I've also drilled the holes for the bridge pins as well. Again, in the original part 4. Right, let's get that one in. And the high E, just get the other strings out of the way. Easier said than done. All tangling up together. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. What's going on here? Okay, right, got the other strings out of the way. So that's the high E. And get the bridge pin in there. There we go. Okay, so that's the two strings in. I'm now going to tune them up to pitch. Let's see if you can see that tuner properly there. Let me just prop that up so you can see what's going on there. Hold on, 1 second. Okay, can you see that all right? The light's getting it a bit, isn't it? I think you can sort of see that. Okay, so I'll tune them up to pitch. Let's make sure those pins are in good before I start that. Up to a B there, let's take the other one up to a B as well. Way. Come on, show us where you are. There we go. Okay, that's the high E up to pitch. A bit more. Okay, so that's the two E strings up to pitch. So I want to now that we've got this different saddling, which is lower than the original, I just want to check where we are with string action. So you may recall, it's a little bit scrappy now, but I had all the original settings written down here, so E, A, D, G, B, E, and we had ranging from 2.25 to 2.5 millimeters. So the two E's actually were the same at 2.25. Now I'm aiming for 2 millimeters or below. So let me just check they're up to pitch again. Okay, that's good enough. So I'll check the action. Let me just move back a bit. Check the action at the 12th fret. Let's come back a bit more. So as I said, I'm aiming for 2 or below. So we'll check the high E string first, which is at, that is probably just a hair under 2 millimeters. Oh my God. So already with that, I say new saddle, we're pretty much in the ballpark already. That's fantastic. So that is definitely no higher than 2 mil. I'm going to say that's probably 1.8 to, no, maybe 1.9 mil. That's pretty much bang on. Okay, the low E is, yeah, just about 2 millimeters. Well, that's a really good start. I'm pretty much in the ballpark already. So, what that's telling me, because I still have to lower the action at the nut, or the first fret, I've got to take that down a fair bit. There's quite high action at the first fret. So I think once I've done that, once I've lowered the action at the nut, I'm not going to need to do anything here at the saddle. I think that's going to be all I need to do, which is pretty good. I'm really happy with that. So yeah, let me just double check one more time. So I'll start with the low E. That is probably maybe just a hair above 2 millimeters. Put it 2.1 at the most, I would say. And the low E, yeah, we're looking about 1.9 there. So as far as I'm concerned, that's where it should be. That does not need any adjustment at all at the saddle. That's brilliant news, because that takes quite a long time and it's a bit faffy, and sometimes you can make mistakes, and you know, it just takes a long time. To adjust the action at the nut is a bit quicker, a bit easier. Well, not necessarily easier. You still got to be very careful not to overdo it. So I'm going to, while these two strings are on, I'm just going to, well, move the camera, and I'm going to start to make some adjustments at that nut. So let me just get the camera set up where you can see. It's still not quite there. Let me just move that back a bit. How's that? It's not too bad, he says, not too bad. Light's pretty poor. Just move that light. Okay, I might need to turn that block over, because I need the headstock raised off the bench. It's not the greatest angle, that. Let's see if I can get that camera down a little bit more. Actually, I'm going to lower the legs on the tripod just a little bit. See if we can get a bit closer into that. Let's try that. How's that look? That's a bit better. I don't want to zoom in too much because we don't get very good focus. Right, so what I'm going to need for this job is my nut files. Now these are, in case any of you want to know, the brand of these is you see that? Not really. Hosco. Let me get a bit of paper behind there. There we go. Hosco is the brand, and the part number TL-NF10. This is really difficult to put that in shot. TL-NF10. So it's a set of 10 nut slot files, and they go from, what's the smallest one? They go from, as I said, there's 10 of them. I think they go from 10 thousandths up to 56 thousandths. So these are good for most, if not all, acoustic and electric guitars, but not for bass guitars, because obviously the strings are a lot thicker on those. And these are pretty expensive. Somewhere in the region of 100 quid for a set of these, which is quite a lot of money for 10 tiny little files. But they are, you know, these are used by luthiers worldwide. They are really, really accurate. They're, you know, long lasting. Okay, so I've got to file the slot down in each of these. Fair bit, to be honest. So I'm going to start with measuring what size the strings are first, so that I know what files to use. Okay, so I've got my digital calipers here. set those to imperial, and let's have a look on the high E string. That is 14. No, that's better. 10. So the low E is a 10, and the high E, I'm going to say 48 to 50. So let's say 10 and 50. So I want something slightly bigger than a 10 and something slightly bigger than a 50. So let me just sort through. So right, that's a 10, so I want slightly bigger than that. That's a 16, too big. Let me see, what do we got? 13, that's probably the one to go with. 13 and a 56. That's going to be right for those, the outer two strings. Okay, so start with the low E string. So I just need to slacken the string off a bit and take it out of the slot carefully. Okay, so when you're filing the slot of a nut, you need to make sure, first of all, that your file faces where the string goes to the tuning post. And you need to angle down a little bit so that the string, you know, goes down towards a tuning peg. It's quite, you've got to keep it quite precise. So I'm just gonna, I think it's a plastic nut, so I won't go too mad because it will file quickly. Right, just do a little bit at a time. I don't want to overdo it straight away. Yeah, it's still got to come down a bit more. How are we doing for time? Time is okay. How are we looking there? That's pretty close. Doesn't need a lot more. As I say, these plastic nuts, they file really fast, especially these fine ones. So you just don't want to go too fast or too far too quickly. Needs a little bit more. How are we looking now? It could still go a bit more. Right, that's looking good. I'm going to stop there on that one. That's looking pretty good. So now I will go to the low E, and I've got my 56 file there. So just take it out of the slot. Right, again, a little bit at a time. Don't do too much too quickly. Yeah, still got to come down a bit. Yeah, still got to come down a bit more. Okay, it's getting pretty close, doesn't need a lot more. Okay, that's got to be close now. Still needs a bit more. Right, how are we looking now? That's getting close, I think just a touch more. I'm going to just try and take a little bit off the sides. I think it might be binding up a bit. So just angle the file side to side. A little bit off the bottom there. Let's try that. Yeah, that's getting close. Little bit more. Yeah, I can feel that's binding on the sides, so I'm just going to take a bit off the sides first, because that might be holding it up. I don't want to take too much depth out in case it suddenly drops down. Let's just try that. Okay. Yeah, tiny bit more, and we're there. Okay, let's have a look at that. That's looking good. Okay, so I'm going to leave those two there. They're about right. They might still need a little bit more tweaking here and there, but they are pretty close as they are. So I'm not going to film the rest of the strings or the rest of doing that to the rest of the string slots. It's exactly the same thing, just filing a little bit out of the slot to lower the string. And then once I've done all of those, I will recheck the action, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be absolutely bang on, very low, which is what the customer wants. And you know, if we get a little bit of buzzing, I'll check the fret, the levelness of all the frets and see if it needs a very light fret job. If that's all level, then I can take a little bit of relief out of the neck, just a tiny amount if there is any buzzing, but I don't think there will be. I think it's going to be fine. So we're, as I said, we're now on to the mosquitoes. We're now on to the point of lowering the nut, and I don't think, well, I'm not going to need to lower the saddle, which is really good news because that saves me a lot of time. So we're getting quite close to, you know, getting this guitar finished up. Once I've lowered the nut and checked the action, I will then check intonation. I'll probably film that because if it needs any work, that's going to be interesting to watch. Okay, so we're getting on with this guitar. Won't be long before we finish it now. Looking forward to the next episode. In the meantime, please look after yourselves, look after each other, and we will see you soon. Peace out.